Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Hopefully, you are doing well and recovering maybe from a long holiday weekend like we are. So, I almost said happy Tuesday because that's what I'm used to saying, but it is Thursday today. And truthfully, it feels like Monday for me. So, we did have Monday off as well for the holiday. All of our employees were enjoying the day off, and so then on Tuesday was the 4th of July, so hopefully you enjoyed some time outdoors, maybe enjoying some fireworks. The fireworks around here were crazy this year, so we have some people in our neighborhood that love to invest in fireworks and put on an amazing show, which I will gladly watch from my driveway. So we enjoyed that on Tuesday, and then yesterday our nanny needed the day off to have a procedure done, so I was working from home with the kids, and now it's my first day back in the office and I get to be with all of you, which is so fun. I've been looking forward to it. So as you're hopping on today, say hello. I want to greet some of you and see who's out there watching. Good morning. Whitney's out there. Hi, Heather. Hello, Vicki and Deb's here, and Debbie and Martha. Yes, happy Thursday, everyone. Hi, Pamela. Well, today we are going to do some fun crafting together. So it's not very often that I get to spend most of my time crafting because usually I'm talking about all of the new products. But this week, instead of a new product release, with Tuesday being a holiday for us here in the US, we decided to do a sticky summer sale because we are in the middle of a sticky summer. Has it been humid near you guys? Maybe you're lucky and you live near a coast and you don't get the humidity that we do here in the central United States, but wow, it was a sticky one this weekend, and that means our sticky sale is super appropriately timed at least. So let's take a look quickly at this graphic. In case you haven't heard, the Sticky Summer Sale launched yesterday, and everything in this sale category is 25% off. And now is the time to stock up on your adhesives. So there are a lot of foam adhesives, some of our stickers, washi tapes, some of our Share Joy notepads for putting on the inside of your card. We have a few envelope seals and other goodies that you will find on this sale. So adhesive is one of those consumables that we always need more of, so now is a great time to stock up, especially before we get into the busy fall season of crafting. So check out that Sticky Summer Sale category, and we are going to talk a little bit today about different adhesives, and I'm going to share with you mostly about foam adhesive today. So I think I didn't count before I got on, but we have at least, I would say, 12 different foam adhesive products on the sale. And so we're going to focus our time on foam tape today. And I'll be mentioning some of the other sale items as well and what I like to use them for. But I know adhesive can be a big personal preference as well. So hopefully just hearing from me about what do I like to use these certain adhesives for, what situations, what's my favorite, what do I use the most of. So I'll be sharing all of those things as we craft as well. So before we get to crafting, let's see, Debbie stocked up on her favorite adhesives. Good. Hi, Linda. Still muggy this morning, drying out from yesterday's rains. Yes, it rained all day Saturday, which made Sunday and Monday and Tuesday very hot and humid. Hello, Nancy in Omaha. You got your order too. Sticky in New York, Marcia says. Super hot and humid, Heather says as well. So we are in the thick of summer, right? July months are pretty hot here. So, all right, one more thing I want to talk about before we get to crafting. Today, if you guys haven't heard about our Stamp Joy event, today is the last day to get our early bird pricing. So this is a virtual and an in-person event. So most of the event is focused on the in-person side of things. It will be happening here in our hometown. Well, our hometown is Ankeny, Iowa, but right near us in Des Moines, Iowa at the Iowa Event Center, October 13 and 14. So We have hundreds of people signed up to join us in person already. You're never too far away to come. If you can make the travel plans work into your budget, I think it is definitely a fun experience for everybody that comes and joins in person. And if you are not able to join us in person, we have a virtual option. So this is only the second time we've done the virtual option for our fall event. It is just a small snippet of the fall in-person event. We will be teaching the class that's offered at Stamp Joy. We'll also be teaching it virtually. So if you sign up virtually, which we have a lot of people signed up virtually already, you don't want to miss out on this. You get exclusive products. So we'll be using new designs in these classes, and you'll get all of that mailed to you along with a kit of prepped materials, and we'll provide a supply list. So a lot of the things on the supply list are going to be things you already have, like adhesives and a die cut machine and blender brushes. But if there are things you don't have, you can purchase those with a discount, or you can often substitute them for something else in your collection. So don't feel like we're going to spring on you that you have to buy $500 worth of products to make these cards. You can get creative and use a lot of what you already have to make these class cards if you choose to do that. So get signed up and raise your hand if you're already signed up. Like I said, there are hundreds of you joining us both in person and virtually, so we are super excited to do that later this fall. I did not mention, but the virtual event will be November 11th, and if you're not able to join that day, you will have access to the recording of the class to watch at a later time. And if you are able to join that day, you can watch the recording as many times as you want, kind of being able to pause and follow along at your own pace as well. So awesome. Marsha's all signed up for virtual. Nancy, you got signed up for virtual. Got a lot of hands raised. Awesome. Well, like I said, we are so excited and really getting into the planning for our in-person event this fall. I also don't know if I've mentioned it on a live yet, but we made an announcement last week of the mini class teachers who will be joining us this year. We are partnering with some amazing company owners and designers. So Betsy Veldman will be teaching from the Greetery. We'll be collaborating on a Greetery stamp set, and everyone gets that in their in-person goodie bag if you sign up for that teal package. Then Christopher Allen will be here from Brutus Monroe, and he came last year. This year we asked him to teach a mini class, and so you'll get some fun Brutus Monroe products designed by Christopher. And then Lori Craig will be here for Olo markers. So you'll get to get your hands on those Olos and learn from the best. And of course, Lori will be illustrating a stamp set herself that she'll be using in her class, and everybody will get that as well. So super fun things planned. All right, well, I mentioned we'd do a lot of crafting today, but I also did a lot of talking. So should we get to crafting? Let's do it. I'm gonna get you guys down here so you can see what is going on today. We have some cards that I am making with almost all cardstock. We've got a little bit of ink here on my sentiments, but almost everything you see here was cut from cardstock. And one of my goals today is to show you some fun and unique uses for the mini slim layer stacklets that we released, I think it was last week with our kit. So these were available or they still are available for separate purchase. And we have our mini slim layer stacklets and the additional mini slim layer stacklets. So the regular set of mini slim layer stacklets starts at the exact size of a mini slim card base. So that's the largest piece in the set is the same size as your mini slim card base. So that's 3.5 by 6 for those of you that aren't familiar with the mini slim sizing. And then if you pair this with the additional mini slim layer stacklets, then the largest in this set will fit right inside the largest from the other set. So when combining the two, you're able to get a 1/16 inch border around the outside of your layer. And if you were to layer these two largest together, you would have a 1/8 inch border all the way around the outside. So this really gives you the opportunity to have perfectly cut layers, even up to that 1/16 inch layer, which I know is difficult to get cut straight when you're using a paper cutter. So that is the beauty of these mini slim layer stacklets, and we have them in A2 size as well. But what I'm going to show you today are some creative uses for making some fun patterns and designs using these layer stacklets. First, let me talk to you about the colors we're going to be using. I pulled this from Susan's little inspiration card tub, I'll call it. She's got this cute little container that holds all of her inspiration cards, and I just thought this color combination was so fun. So I only needed 5 colors for the cards that we're going to be making, so I eliminated the cilantro, but this is the basic color combination that we're going to be using today, minus the cilantro. So that is an idea. I thought it looked, you know, kind of a little bit more boyish. It could work great for boy birthday cards as well, but I used all hello sentiments, as those seem to be cards that I can use all the time. All right, so let's start. We're going to get to the adhesives in a little bit. As we're crafting together, we'll start using all of these adhesives. But first, we're going to put these mini slim layer stacklets together and create a fun little element. Okay, so here are those 5 sheets of cardstock. And, oh, Melissa says the colors look very retro. Yes, they do, kind of. The peach in there gives it a retro look. Okay, so I have the regular mini slim stacklets set, and I am going to pull off every other one. So I'm going to start with the largest, and then I'm going to leave the next one on the magnet and pull off the next one. And I'm going to leave the next one and pull off the next smaller. And then the next one. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I'm pulling every other one off of the magnet card. So then here's what I'm left with. This is the set here that starts with the largest layer that is the same size as our mini slim stacklets, or our mini slim card base. So what we're going to do is adhere these together so that we can create a fun framed element that we're going to use on a card like this. So in order to do this, I'm going to flip all of my dies over so that the cut line is facing down into my cards, or into my placemat. And I'm going to line these up. It's going to take me just a second here to get these all lined up perfectly. You can use the grid paper to make sure that outer edge is perfectly lined up, and then it'll be easier to see that the rest of the pieces are lined up inside of it. All right. And I can kind of shift those around until I feel like I have them just perfect there. And then what I'm going to do is take my teal tape. So teal tape is part of the sale today, or this week, I guess, and it is used for a lot of different things. So it has just the right amount of tack to be used for tacking down your stencils as you blend over them. You can also use it to place over your die cuts as you run it through your die cut machine. If you are using it for that purpose, I would just tell you to kind of loosen the stickiness or take a little bit of the tackiness away by putting it on your hand or on your clothing, so it's not quite as sticky as when it comes right off the roll. So when I'm using it right off the roll, I will use it for stenciling. I'll use it for what we're going to use it right now, but if I'm using it with dies or something that adds extra pressure by putting it through the die cut machine, then I want to take a little bit of that stickiness away before I use it directly on my paper, just to reduce the chances that it might cause any problems pulling the paper up. Okay, so now that we have these in place, I'm going to take a good long piece of this, and I think we're going to go this direction. If I tack these down here. Okay. making sure that the rest of it stays straight. All right. Now we're gonna go like this. I want these to remain really strong, so I actually use quite a bit of this adhesive to do this process because we're gonna use this multiple times. We're gonna run it through the machine multiple times, and I don't wanna lose any of my pieces. So we're gonna grab all of those dies with the teal tape. So what was the best part of your 4th of July? Did you guys get a chance to watch fireworks and enjoy those? I think my favorite part of the 4th of July this year was watching Henry hold a sparkler for the first time. He was so cute. And he didn't try to put it in his mouth, which is why he hasn't held a sparkler before in his life. Because we always worry about him thinking, oh, that's cool, I'm gonna try and put that in my mouth, and that never recommended with a sparkler to put it in your mouth. Melissa says the best part was being off work for 5 days. I hear you there. Although I was telling, I think I was telling Heather and Jill over the weekend, like, please help me survive this weekend with all of my children. Sometimes work is a break for me. And I love what I get to do every day, so I do miss it after a little bit. Okay, so now we have those dies that are all taped together, and we are going to cut them out of our 5 colors. That's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different frames from each color, and then we can mix and match them to create things like this. I'm going to show you how to create this one, and with the leftover pieces from this, we can create this card. So lots of ways to use these up once you have them die cut, but die cutting them doesn't take too long. It's not difficult, it's just a little bit time consuming. So we'll get started on that while you guys are telling me the best part of your 4th of July. Heather, you got to watch fireworks over the lake. I bet that was pretty. Okay, so this first color is blue raspberry. I left part of the die open up here so that I could easily pop this through and not have to deal with pulling it out more difficult. It would be more difficult if I had taped around the entire piece. So we're going to start stacking these over here. That's blue raspberry. Then we have tropical punch. And as long as you've taped your dies down well, they're going to cut the frame in exactly the same place every time. So you don't have to worry about your tropical punch frames being different size than your blue raspberry frames. Pop these out, and then we can pull them away from the back. I know this is not a new TV show, but I've kind of gotten into watching episodes of the show SWAT on Netflix. So I got to enjoy a few peaceful moments watching a couple episodes of SWAT on my phone this weekend. So that was another fun part. All right, this one is lime zest. Oh, Marcia, watching the town fireworks with your kids and grandkids. There's just something about watching little kids watch fireworks that brings so much joy. Their faces are so excited and their voices are, ooh, ah, look at that one. So it's definitely more magical when you watch with kids, I think. All right, so that was lime zest. Now we've got peaches and cream. Ooh, Deneen, you'll have to tell me what dips you made. I made a dip this year that I had not made before, and I think everyone liked it. We had a little bit of leftover, and it was gone yesterday, so it was a corn dip, actually. It had corn and cream cheese and sour cream and queso fresco and Colby Jack cheese all melted up and heated in the crock pot. I'm a sucker for a good dip. All right, so there's the peaches, and then the last color that we'll do is sweet potato pie. And the great thing about cutting all of these out is now you can combine them in all different arrangements, use up every single one of those frames, and you'll have 5 different cards. 5 cuts equals 5 cards. Or if you do like I did and use them in different ways, you can get even more cards than that. So these 2 were made from one panel, and then obviously this one uses all 5 of the frames kept together. So we're going to start putting this one together, and just for ease, I think I'm going to use the same color combination that I used here. So we've got orange in the largest frame, and then peach for the second largest, and then I've got lime zest and blue raspberry, and then tropical punch in the center. Okay. So I have these facing up with the good side of the cardstock facing up, and I think you'll understand why I'm doing it that way in just a second. When we do our next one, we'll turn these over and have kind of the bad side of the cardstock facing up. But for this one, this is the good side that you want facing up on your card. And we're going to use that teal tape again for another purpose, to hold all of these frames together while we adhere them to our card. And we're going to talk more about another type of foam tape when we do that. So I'm going to pull off a couple pieces here, and we're going to do the trick where I told you earlier, where we kind of put it on our skin, just a few, kind of take it on and off. Some of the oils from the skin are going to make the tape a little bit less tacky, so that we don't risk pulling up any of our cardstock. So I'm going to just tack those down, tack all 5 frames together before we move on to the next step in the process. Ooh, Lori says the Pioneer Woman's recipe for spinach artichoke dip. Is that hard? I don't know why artichokes scare me. They just sound like, I guess probably just because I've never made artichokes before. But I do love a good spinach artichoke dip, especially when we go out to eat. Okay, so here are those frames tacked all together. Now let's talk about foam adhesives for just a second. I thought it would be fun on this card and give me an opportunity to talk to you about all of our different foam adhesives, but I thought it would be fun to pop these frames up at different levels. So if we kind of look at this from the side, maybe you can definitely tell in person, but we have this outer 2 frames are popped up with thin foam tape. Then these 2 are popped up with regular, and these are popped up with our thick foam tape. So you get them at 3 different layers, which kind of gives you this graduated dimensional look to this frame card. And like I said, it's kind of hard to capture on the video, but you can definitely see it in person. It gives it a lot more depth and dimension. and I thought it was a fun thing to try with all of our different foam tapes. So let's talk about the foam tapes that you're going to find on the sticky sale and what I like about them, what I use them for. We've recently added a new dimension, which is the thin foam tape. The thin foam tape, let's pull that out first. This is the thinnest foam tape that we have. It comes in a roll. It comes in squares that are pre-cut, and it comes in a 1x3, which, this is the 1x3 and this is the squares. So I'm gonna pull these all out of the package for you and use them so you guys can see what they look like. But as far as thickness goes, these are 1/32 of an inch thick. So that's gonna be the thinnest foam tape that we have. These are great if your post office tends to be particular, perhaps, about the dimension that you have on your cards when you mail them. Also great when you want to pop things up on multiple layers. So like this, where you want a thin, a regular, and a thick, or maybe you want your card panel popped up, but you also want your sentiment popped up. So that gives you a couple different layers of dimension without adding thickness to, a lot of thickness to both of those layers. So that's the thin 1/32 of an inch. Then we have the same thing for the next kind of level, which is regular. We call this our regular thickness, and it is probably the one that's used most often when popping things up. It's a 1/16 inch dimension, and it comes in the same three forms. It comes in a roll. The roll has 36 yards on it, so that's a lot of foam tape. And then it comes in our 1x3 foam strips, which I have right here, and you can see those are already pre-cut in a 1" by 3" strip. And then it also comes in the foam squares. I don't have the foam squares right here in front of me, but I can see them across the room. So if somebody happens to be coming in here, I will show you the foam squares. But it's the same thickness, already pre-cut in 1/2 inch squares. So there are the same options for that. Then we have a couple of options for our thick foam tape. Susan, can you also grab the foam sticky strips? I don't think I have those. Thank you, Susan. Okay, so here's what those pre-cut squares look like. So I showed you the pre-cut 1x3 foam. Here are the foam squares, and those would be the regular thickness as well. I'll talk about why I choose to use each of these in just a second, but I wanted to talk to you first about the thickness and the difference in the way that they're cut. So I was just starting to talk about the thickest foam tape. The thickness on these is 1/8 inch. And these are best used for things like shaker cards because they give you that extra dimension that you need for your shaker bits to still be able to shake around inside your card. We have them in the large roll, which is an 18-yard roll. And then we have them in our pre-cut sticky strips, which these never last long in my craft room. This is what I use for most of my shaker cards, but there's a place for this as well. So those are the 1/8 inch thick. And then we also have, let me just leave this out. Also in 1/8 inch thick, we have our double-sided adhesive foam sheets. Now these are die cuttable, so you can actually put your die on top of it, send it through your die cut machine, and it's going to cut through the adhesive sheet, and you're going to have a perfectly sized piece of adhesive for whatever shape your die cut is. And these are great for shakers as well because you can cut a frame out of them and you'll have that perfectly sized piece of adhesive at just the right thickness for a shaker card. So all of these options are 1/8 inch thick. Now let's talk about, as I put this card together, let's talk about why I choose to use certain pieces of adhesive. So most of the time lately, I am grabbing for these 1x3 rolls. They are just super conveniently sized. Like right here in the center, I could use a 1x3 piece. I'm not going to because that's our thicker adhesive, the 1/8 inch, and that doesn't come in a 1x3. But let me show you, if we talk about this outer edge, the two frames on the outside are thin, the two middle are regular, and then the inside is thick. So this is our 1x3 foam adhesive that's thin. And I'll just take my scissors, which is why I love it. It's already trimmed at 1x3, but then I can just leave it on the roll as it is and trim up the edge and have these 3 strips of thin foam adhesive. It looks like everybody's talking about what they are loading up on for the sale. So I love to hear other people's, preferences and favorites too. Because like I said at the beginning, adhesive can be a personal preference, especially liquid adhesive tends to be something that, everybody has what they like or don't like about a certain adhesive, and we've all tried a lot of them. So there is definitely no harm in having a different favorite than someone else. And I think I've talked about this a lot of times. Susan has her favorite adhesive that she uses when we craft together, and I have mine, and that's okay. There are things that we both appreciate about different properties of either the way that it comes out of the bottle or the way that it maybe dries on your paper or feels on your fingers if you get any on your fingers. So lots of considerations. But there we go. That is the thin foam tape that I used, the 1x3 strips. Now you could use the squares, but they were just a little bit too thick to perfectly place on that frame. I needed something that was a little bit thinner for kind of covering up those 2 layers together without getting into the layer next to it. So I'm going to do the same thing with the 1x3 strips in the regular size. So this is the next thickness up. This one is 1/16 inch thick. And I just cut a strip off and place it down over those 2 frame pieces. Try not to cut myself while I am live today. And then we'll do that middle part. Jennifer, you said grateful for the sale. I go through so much of it. I know Susan and I were talking about how I think we're on our 2nd or 3rd roll of the 1x3 thin. You can see that there's not very much left on this roll. And I think we're on our third roll since it came out, and it has not been out for a very long time. So we use it a lot, just really convenient. Okay, on the inside portion of this card then, I am going to use the 1/8 inch thick foam roll, which just a second. I'm coming. I left it over on my crafty area, but this is the 1/8 inch thick roll. You can see I've used quite a bit of this too, because this is the original size of the roll that I showed you in the packaging. And then here's what I have left. So I go through this quite a bit as well. I'm just going to cut 2 long strips of the thickest foam adhesive for this one. There we go. So we have 3 different layers of foam adhesive on these frame layers, and then we can take that and adhere it down directly to our mini slim card base. So we just need to peel off all of the little pieces of backing paper on the back. It's another thing I love about our adhesives is I have personally tested them and tried them to make sure that they're not hard to peel, because nothing is more frustrating than trying to peel a little piece of backing paper off when all you want to do is adhere your item. Sometimes, depending on your nails, it can make a little bit of a difference how easy it is or hard it is to peel them. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. My middle section didn't stick to my teal tape, or it came off of the teal tape. That's okay. We can put it back. Except now it's stuck to my fingers. Okay, this is fun. Hold please, I'm gonna pull this off camera and try to get it off of myself and then try to get it all back on. You guys get to watch the struggle bus here. Okay, one piece on. Apparently I took too much of the tackiness off of the teal tape before I put it down. Okay. This is just not gonna happen, so I'm struggle bussing.
Someone said, what about press and seal? Would that
Yeah,
help?
well, the problem is I've got the backing paper off of the tape now, so I can't turn it over. So
okay.
yeah, I think we're just gonna have to do this way,
Okay.
and it'll be okay. So we'll just put this guy down first, and then we'll put this one inside of it. It's gonna be just fine. So you can do it this way too. It helps to keep them all together when you're putting your adhesive on, for sure. But then once you've got the adhesive on, it's okay to have them come apart. And then we'll peel this backing paper off. That is another great thing about our foam tape is it is sticky.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
No. All right, we did it. Worse things have happened. Candy says the struggle is real. And Debbie, isn't live fun sometimes?
Right?
So fun. Yeah, we got it though. I know when you're crafting and it's just you alone and you're like, oh, well, I'll deal with this. But then it goes awry and you're trying to talk and fix something at the same time. So anyway, I think it turned out great. You can see here maybe in the picture that it is popped up at those 3 different levels. So it really gives that dimensional kind of, this is the highest layer and the sentiment is really gonna pop out at you. So I did add some splatters to my original card and we can do that really quick. I was just looking at the time to see if I have time because I wanna show you guys that other card that I made too. So I'm gonna grab my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. I've got my paintbrush and my acrylic block, so I can take some of that medium. I love this stuff. It's bright, white, dries quickly, easy to use, doesn't soak into your paper, kind of sits on top of the paper a little bit. So now I have my little bottle of water and I'm giving it a couple of drops. I'm sorry, I'm holding it off camera because I don't want to risk, bad things happen in threes, so I could end up dropping this block right onto my project. All right, we're gonna set this down in the corner and I've got the medium then on my number 4 brush. That's usually what I splatter with, and we can just start kind of tapping on my finger to splatter those frames in the background. Feeling good about that. And we'll set that aside to dry while we do our next little project. So there's how that one turned out. Shelly asked if we have the white Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white in the studio. I think we do. Whitney might have to check on that for sure, but I think we do. Deneen, a little bit of a struggle there too. Realized one of the rolls I ordered was not the one I thought I was ordering, so I placed another order while it's on sale, right? I do have to say we don't put our adhesives on sale very often, so this is one of those kind of times to grab it, because you know it's something you always need. Even though it's not the most fun thing to buy, it makes it a little bit more fun when it's on sale. All right, so let's do another panel. What do you say? I have my little pile of pieces here, and then I'll show you how I created those two cards from one with another panel worth of designs. All right, I'm going to start with the largest this time, being the Tropical Punch, and then we're going to go next with Blue Raspberry. So one thing I did on both of the designs was I kept the two blues together and the two oranges together. And then the green was kind of the outlier. Okay, we'll go the next smallest in the sweet potato. And then the smallest will be the lime zest. So we talked about this before. This is the good side of the paper is facing up. And this time I want to put my adhesive on the back side of the paper. So I'm going to turn this all over and kind of rearrange it again. And then we're going to use our teal tape. And this time I'm not going to take any of the tackiness away. I am going to use it full strength because I really want all of these pieces to stay together. And I'm on the back side of the cardstock, so if it does tear a little bit, it's not going to be the end of the world. So we'll grab a few pieces of this off again. And then we're going to overlap here on this end. And here. Kind of thinking I might want to go in a little bit differently than I did. So I'm going to do a couple more pieces here. We're going to go up this edge. And then we'll go in from this edge. You'll understand why in just a second. Then make sure these are good here. And then this one, I'm going to move over to the diagonal here. Okay, so we've got our pieces of tape holding all of that together. Now, in order to create this, I have here a little bit of, here we go. In order to create this fun little square design, I'm going to take one of our square stacklets, if I can find them. Hold please. I thought I brought them over here. I might need Whitney again. My table has exploded. Hi again.
Did you find them?
No. I was pretty sure I brought my square stacklets over here, but am I just not seeing them?
It could be like my frame from last week. Nope, right here.
Okay. Yay, Susan to the rescue. Yes.
Is it those?
It was these. Yep. Just our regular stitched square stacklets. And in order to get these four kind of fun looks, I took the second smallest piece and placed it right on the edge of this cardstock, or this framed piece that we put together. And then we're going to pull in our die cut machine. And we are going to cut basically a stitched square out of every corner of the cardstock. So I'm going to flip it over here because then I can see exactly where that die cut line matches up with the die itself. And then when I pull that off, we can just tape it down perfectly there. So you want the corner of your paper to fit in the corner of your die line. That's how you're going to make sure all of them are perfectly equal. And then we'll send that one through and we'll move it around to each different corner from there. So there's our first one, and this is why I put that adhesive in the corner of each of these, so we can keep this all together as one piece, hopefully. There we go. So there's our first one. Now we'll move it around and do the other ones. Pushing it all the way into the corner so that die line is not actually, the outer die line is not actually cutting any part of the cardstock. These two die lines here are not cutting the cardstock at all. And then we can pop this one out. There's number 2. You can see how this is going to come together then. That is one of the other things about crafting live, is sometimes it's hard to concentrate and talk at the same time. All right, there's number 3. And then last, we've got our last little corner, and then I'm going to show you an idea for using up this area as well. I'm going to have to grab my cutter to cut these apart. Okay, last one. Tina, you said you're joining late. What die is that little square? So this is one of our stitched square stacklets. It comes in a larger set, like you see here, and I'm using the second smallest of the squares. Okay, now we have this little piece that's left, and I don't want anything to go to waste, so I'm going to show you how I use these leftover pieces from the little corners that we just cut off. So I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and make sure that everything is stuck together well. It looks like it is. We've got that tape holding all of this, the stripes together. And I'm first going to cut off the little nub on one end. Then I want to get about 1/4 inch so that that stripe and this stripe are the same. And so I've lined up the outside stripe with the line here. That's how I know I'm going to get an equal strip of green. So there's that little piece that we're going to use. And then we're going to cut off this little guy here so we can put this flat against the top. Again, line it up with that outside line. So this is the only part that's not going to be used. The rest of this is going to become another card. So I am going to turn this so that it's green in the middle against the blue, and then we'll tape that whole thing together. Kind of fun to see what you can do with leftover pieces, right? An idea starts in one direction and then, oh, but I have this and I don't want to throw it away. So what can we do with that? I'm going to grab those square stacklets again, and we're going to find the size, I think it's this size, that fits that little square that we just cut. Okay, get it positioned just perfectly. I just wanted to check and make sure it was going to be big enough to fit. And it looks like it is just perfect. So a little bit more of my adhesive. This Scotch removable tape is not on the sale, but this is my preferred adhesive for die cutting, for taping down my dies. Have never once had a problem with it pulling any paper up. And then you have another square piece here. All right, so let me show you, we're not going to actually put these cards together, but you can see how we made this card. I did a little square card, so this is 4 1/4 square, and placed each one of those squares on foam tape, and then stamped a little hello sentiment, which is also on foam tape. I believe I did regular foam tape for each of these. When it's a really simple card like this, I like to do foam tape to give it dimension and add some interest when there's not a lot going on, but keeping it really simple. So then with this leftover piece, once you did this, I love how this one turned out. Sometimes the favorite card is the one that you weren't intending to make, and I think this one turned out really fun. So I was looking for other square items to add a little bit of interest and kind of call out that centerpiece. It was Susan's idea to put this at a diagonal, and then I thought, wouldn't it be fun to put our diagonal stitched square stacklets at a diagonal on your card base? And so I took these, I taped them together, and then you can see, place them down in a diamond. You can use your grid paper to measure. So you would want this part to be at 2 1/8 and then halfway down over on this side, and that's how you know it's perfectly straight on your card base. Of course, you want to open up your card base before you send it through the machine so it doesn't cut through both layers. And then I popped up that little square on some foam tape and then put the sentiment popped up on thin foam tape. So I did regular and then thin, added a few glossy black stars and some black rhinestones, and I think that one turned out really fun. I love it. Okay, thank you, Whitney. Put up the links to the stitched square stacklets, and then these, the ones that don't actually cut a square but just cut a texture into your cardstock, these are called the diagonal stitched square stacklets. And like I said at the beginning, you can combine these and make lots more cards. So now that I've cut these out, I did it once when I was creating and then once here on the live, I've got enough squares, or I guess they would be rectangles, to make tons more cards. Grab your inspiration cards and you can make them in all kinds of color combinations. Let's finish off, before I leave you guys today, let's finish off this card because I wanted to talk a little bit about one of our other adhesives that's part of the sale. Who is familiar with sticky sheets? Anybody? Sorry, there went my clear plate for die cutting. So one of the options for adhering intricate die cuts like these would be to place a sticky sheet on the back of your cardstock before you die cut it. And sometimes people ask, why don't you do that? And so I just wanted to talk about it and put it out there as another personal preference type of a thing. So I prefer to use liquid glue when I'm doing things like this, mostly because I have that little bit of wiggle room time that if I don't have it perfectly straight, or if it's not spaced correctly, I have that little bit of wiggle time to get it placed down and move it before it's cemented into place. And to me, that's worth it. I don't mind kind of the other issues that people have with liquid glue. Could be, it gets on my fingers or it seeps out of the edges of my die cut. I have other ways that I control those kind of downsides to liquid glue, and I appreciate the upside of the wiggle time. So just wanted to share that. But if you like the sticky sheets, they are on sale. Also, if you are a fan of our Easy Strips and our Easy Strips maps, then sticky sheets are probably your best friend at the moment. That is what I use our sticky sheets for when I'm building one of those map pieces. Now that I've talked all about my liquid glue, I am really having a hard time. I did not get my stuff over here. All right, had to go grab my liquid glue, and we'll get these tacked down. This is one of my favorite alphabet sets. It is called Cap It Off Alpha, and it actually cuts the outline of the letter along with the kind of inside solid part, so that you have the opportunity to vary those if you like, maybe like I'm doing, a white outline with a colored interior. You can do that. Or if you only wanted to use the interior, sometimes I do that. The interiors are useful all by themselves, and depending on the space that I have when I'm making a particular project, sometimes I'll choose just to use this inside part of the letter instead of the whole thing. Alrighty. It feels weird to be talking about Friday already, considering this is my first day in the office this week. But I'm kind of excited. Tomorrow's Friday, and we have our town festival called Ankeny Days is tomorrow. And we got invited to the VIP tent for one of the vendors that has helped us with our new building. And so John and I get to go enjoy a concert. We have childcare for the kids lined up, and it's supposed to be a beautiful night. They do fireworks again, and kind of fun to do something that we don't do very often, which is go out. So yay for Friday. I know everybody else is probably going to be disappointed because it's not another 5-day weekend coming up. Gonna have to figure out how to do a normal weekend. Whoops. Thankfully that landed right side up. Julianne said, I'm hoping the precision tip for the Nuvo adhesive comes back in stock soon. I hope so too. I don't like it when, it seems to be the Nuvo products where that happens quite a bit. They're doing really well, and then they go out of stock, and we get a message from our supplier that says availability unknown, which is not the message you ever want to see when you're hoping for a product to come back in stock. So the last time I checked the precision tips, that's what it says. That's what it said, but it can change at a moment's notice. Oh, and you guys, usually Thursdays is spill the tea time, right? So I need to do that. July is kind of a funny month around Tailored Expressions, so we know a lot of people, a lot of you are outside enjoying the great outdoors and spending time with family and traveling, and so summers tend to be kind of a time where we take a little bit of a breath before we get into the craziness of the fall season, which will be here before we know it. You know, we're going to have our Halloween release starting in August, and then we have our 15th birthday coming up. So Tailored Expressions is going to be 15 this year. Then of course there's Stamp Joy and our holiday release. So all the things coming up this fall means that we take a little bit of a breather in July as far as new products go. And so I don't have much of a sneak peek for you next week, other than it is our highly anticipated annual grab bag sale. So if you're not familiar with it, our grab bags include all retired products, and you get $320 value for $79. It all comes in a cute little tote bag. Don't worry if you've never invested in our grab bags before. We don't give you like a die that you can't get the stamp for. If we include a die, it has the matching stamp with it, or it can be used on its own. So it is a really good value, especially if you're just starting your TE collection. There are some products in there that you might not have ever seen before. So that's part of next week, along with not only our annual grab bag sale, but our annual retirement sale, which I know is kind of a sad time for me. All of these new products, every time they come out, they're like little children, and I don't like to see any of them go, but we have to make room for all the new stuff. So that will be happening next week as well. So those grab bags, they will go fast. Did I say that? They will go fast. So if you know you want one, or you have maybe a new crafty friend who doesn't have a lot of products, then it would be a great opportunity to grab one for someone else, just because it's just so much good stuff for such a good price. Of course, you get your free shipping at that level as well, the $79 for the grab bag. And let's see, all of these hello cards are reminding me of one more thing. It is now July, and we haven't been live yet to show you our new freebie for the month of July. So with orders of $100 or more, we have our Hello, It's Me freebie. So that is kind of a play off of the Adele song, if any of you are familiar with that one, Hello, It's Me. But kind of a fun way to create hello cards with little add-ons, similar to our Big Happy that we did earlier this year that was so incredibly popular. The hello takes up a large portion of the background of the card, and then you can add the little extras on with that added clear stamp in with the hello. So you get hello spring, summer, fall, winter, hello beautiful, hello little one, hello from all of us, hello crafty friend. Here's a cute hello, it's me with Gus and Gertie. Jill Hawkins made all of these cards, and she is known for her ombre inking on these, which I'll have to get her to do a video of that soon, because I know people always have questions on best practices for getting that beautiful ombre look. Here's a hello crafty friend with a little unicorn peeking in. And then she made a hello winter with some of our little critters Christmas guys down here at the bottom. So super fun, and like I said, that is free with purchases of $100 or more for the month of July. All right, that was a lot. What's a song from Todd Rundgren? Hello, It's Me? I didn't know that. I just know the Adele version. So yes, Melissa, you asked the question, how do you do a smooth blend on those? So I think we need to get Jill to give us a little tutorial because she is the master. I could give you some tips, but it would be longer than a 2-minute explanation. So hopefully we can get you guys some good technique tips and tricks on how to do those pretty ombres with these large sentiment stamps. So what die set is on the flowers on the first hello card? This one. So I think that's what you're talking about, these little flowers at the top. Those are from our garden variety die set. So that's another good one. Add that to your cart to get over $100 and then you get the free set too. So, all right, you guys, I did it all. I made a card. I shared about the sticky sale. We talked about adhesives and Stamp Joy and the new freebie. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy the upcoming weekend again already. So we will see you on Tuesday. I will be live on Tuesday, even though we don't have a new release, but we'll be talking about all things grab bag with that retirement sale and the grab bags that we have going on. So yes, definitely tune in on Tuesday and I'll see you then.